I'm from Denver originally, but I've pretty much lived here my whole life. So,
Okay.
like, Breaking Bad is very accurate to
Yeah.
what is portrayed here. So, yeah.
Nice. So you're only in Denver for like
Probably
a
up
few
until
years?
fifth grade, and then I moved over here. So,
Okay.
yeah, the majority of my
Sweet.
life I've been here.
Nice. So box office QBs are are the other dudes also in Albuquerque, or is everyone sort of like spread out?
We're sort of spread out. So, I met these guys, like, we're all in or used to be in local news. So, we worked in
Hmm.
this really shitty town in Texas for a few years together. And we all just kind of became friends there and talking about movies, talking about sports.
Hmm.
We started a blog, like, I think like 2018, and we were just writing like articles on the MCU and stuff like that. It died out for a while. We brought it back
Hmm.
as a podcast during the pandemic because we were bored, and
Hmm.
now it's turned into a YouTube show. We just got our first sponsor, which is pretty cool, which is like Rival Fantasy Sports. You could check that out on our Twitter page if you want to. We got like a promo code and everything up. But
Nice.
yeah, it's evolved into something that we're pretty proud of for sure.
Yeah. That's I mean, I feel like I remember seeing you guys around when the show first launched, and I was doing my other show, and we sort of like just connected like a mutual like, hey, we're small indie movie podcast, like let's
Yeah.
support each other. And I've been listening to you guys for the last couple of years, and it's cool to have watched the show sort of evolve and grow and see all the different cool things that you guys are doing, to see this sponsorship, it's a tough word for me, to see that, like, it's really awesome, to see what you guys have been able to do. And now a seamless transition. Welcome into the Canon, the only movie podcast giving you the most essential movie watch list. I'm joined today. I'm talking to Jeff Gordon of the Box Office QB podcast. That's what we're chatting about right now. We're going to chat about Predator a little bit later, but Jeff is here to talk to us a little bit about Box Office QBs. You got that little intro before, and we're going to chat about that. We're going to chat about Predator. I'm very happy to have Jeff on with me. You know, through this weird thing called the internet, you
Yeah.
get to meet you get to meet cool people from all over, and sometimes you're lucky enough to actually like get to chat with them. So I'm happy that I'm lucky enough to be having this conversation, Jeff, with you today. Thank you for that, that little like background on Box Office QBs. Is there anything else that you can tell us about this new sponsorship with what is it, Rival Fantasy, and sort of what you guys are going to be doing with them, what that partnership looks like?
Yeah, so we're gonna like infuse like some daily fantasy sports elements like into our podcast. Like we already kind of do sports related things where our ranking scale is based off of sports, where we do a Hall of Fame ranking, an All-Star, bench starter, and everything like that. But we're gonna
Hmm.
run a listener league. When this episode is out, it'll already be up and running, like close to week one. But we're gonna do listener leagues, do promo codes to where you can join Rival and get started up with like $25 of free play. So some pretty cool things in the works there. So I'm just really excited that we were able to lock this down and just take our show to the next level.
Sweet. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I feel like it's a really cool fit for the show that you guys do. Like, there's a lot of sports shows out there, there's a lot of movie shows out there, but there aren't a lot of people who are like mixing the two the way that you guys do. I mean, I assume that was intentional, but like, would you consider yourself more of a sports person or more of like a movie guy if you
I
had to
think
pick
that's
one?
I think that's like the beautiful thing with our show is everybody on our show is kind of a mix of both, except for our
Mhm.
friend Ahmed, who is very much into movies. We kind of
Yeah.
forced him to download this fantasy app, but
Yeah.
he's a
So
good
what is this?
dude.
What
And
is daily fantasy stuff?
yeah, we're like, you got to download it. But yeah, I'm definitely a mix of both. I definitely love like comic book movies and action movies.
Mhm.
Uh, and like there are certain days where if it's like a regular season game of like the NBA and an MCU movie drops, I'm going to go
Mhm.
to the MCU movie. So it
Yeah.
really, yeah, it
Depends.
depends on the scenario.
Okay. I want to try to force you into an answer. Like if if it's if it's game 7 NBA finals and Denver's in and it's, Avengers Endgame comes out the same day, which one are you picking?
Oh, the Nuggets. Nuggets are like the number one priority for sure.
Even over Avengers Endgame?
Yeah, I'll just stay off of Twitter that day and
Yeah.
mute every keyword. And yeah, the Nuggets will always have my heart when it comes to those things.
Super Bowl between two random teams, not the Broncos, like two totally random teams, that or Endgame, and you can only see Endgame at the time of the Super
Oh
Bowl.
man, that's tough. That is a tough one. I think I'm gonna have to go the Super Bowl because I've only missed the Super Bowl one time in my life, and that was because I was grounded for it. So, and I really never want to do that again. So,
Wait, that's incredible. Can you tell the story of how you got grounded for the Super Bowl?
yeah, I was grounded all the time because of grades and stuff. So, I think I had like a F in math at the time the Super Bowl rolled around, and my
Damn.
dad was like, "All right, you're not watching the Super Bowl this year." So I remember my uncle took me to the library on the day of the Super Bowl, and I was checking out books, and I would go back home and like sadly walk through the living room where I would like kind of peek at the game a little bit. It was
Yeah.
the Super Bowl between the Giants and the Ravens, if you remember that one. A long, long time ago. I think the Ravens won like 41-7. It was not a great Super Bowl for the Giants, but that was the only
Was
one
that in
I've ever missed.
was that in 2000? Was that like the Ray
Yeah,
Lewis
that was
Ravens?
yeah.
I once saw Ray Lewis at a bar in New York City, and he was like his muscles were like bursting out of his suit. That dude is
Oh yeah,
terrifying. Yeah.
yeah. I would be definitely scared of that guy.
Yeah. That's wild. Grounded for the Super Bowl. So you haven't missed one since.
Not since then. Gotten close. My dad was very creative with the groundings, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's like a next level grounding.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever missed a Super Bowl. And I'm like not a football guy at all.
Yeah.
But it's just like a thing to do, you know.
It's like a national holiday for the most part.
Okay. So I guess I'm giving tough scenarios, but it sounds like based on these picks, you're more of a sports guy. But I guess it's
I
hard
guess if it comes down to it.
yeah, you're still like all Denver, Colorado sports.
Oh yeah, man. Denver
Yeah.
Nuggets. It was a good summer for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that for a long time. So,
dude, Jokic is insane. He's so much fun to watch.
Like I've never seen anybody like him. Like he looks like he'd be terrible, but he's just so good, and like he's just unstoppable. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And he doesn't even care about basketball.
No, he cares more about horse racing than he cares about basketball. So.
He's like the most unstoppable basketball player ever, and he was just like,
so
whatever.
Random.
Like, we did our work. Our work here is done. We won the championship.
We can go home.
I don't really care. I can go home now.
Yeah. That's how I want to approach my everyday life too.
Yeah. I wish I could just be that casually amazing at things that I do.
Yeah.
Are the Nuggets like your main team?
Like the Nuggets and the Broncos. Like the Broncos have been pissing me off for a very long time. So, I mean, my expectations are very low. What about you?
Good this year?
I mean, it depends on Russell Wilson, I guess. at this point.
Okay.
Like, I mean, Sean Payton's probably going to
Yeah.
make things better, but
Last year was like kind of a disaster, right? Like
yeah,
they brought in like a new head coach who was
he
terrible.
he didn't know anything. Like, he was the worst head coach I've ever seen in my life. Like,
Yeah.
he just didn't know how to manage a clock, anything like that. Yeah. So it can only go up from here. That's for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like not a huge football guy. So some of these questions might sound kind of dumb, but like the Broncos division are they in the same division as the Chiefs?
Yeah. So that's part of the problem here is Patrick Mahomes. So, and Justin Herbert on the Chargers. Like, the Raiders kind of suck, so that kind of helps us out a little bit. But having like the best quarterback in football and you have to play him 2 times a year is just not optimal for us at all. So
yeah. But and then with the Raiders, this is a great opportunity for us to jump into Levitard's show, but they do a lot of chatter about how they think that Tom Brady is going to end up playing for the Raiders this year.
I mean, the writing is on the wall. The guy picked the team that has like this very uncertain quarterback situation.
Yeah.
And he's come out of retirement before, so I would hate it a lot because I hate Tom Brady, but I could definitely see that happening.
Could he still be amazing at 45 or however old he is? Like,
he probably could. Like, I've learned not to count that dude out, but it's crazy. He's 46 years old and he's still as good as he is. I'm 34 years old and I can barely play basketball anymore. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. Like, knees hurt every time I try to do anything athletic at all.
Yeah. I get off the couch and it's kind of hard. I don't know. Yeah.
Did you play basketball growing up?
I did play basketball. My brothers were a lot better than I was, for sure. I think my best year was at like the Boys and Girls Club. I averaged 1.5 points a game, but that was kind of where my athletic peak was. Yeah. But I bought a hoop like recently, so I've been playing in the backyard. Like, my dog is kind of like into it, trying to rebound the ball and everything. So that's kind of cool. Like, trying to get an Airbud.
Yeah. Sweet. Cool. So football and basketball, main sports, and then like Rockies and Avalanche.
Yeah, the Rockies have like a weird relationship with everybody in Denver. Like, we all want the owners to sell the team because they don't care about the team. So that's kind of where we're at. People still like going to the games because Coors Field is awesome, and it's just like beautiful. It's just like a great environment to hang out. There's a bunch of bars down the street. So really, we're going to Coors Field to get drunk and not really pay attention to the games whatsoever. But we would like it if we ever got like a World Series run again, because we had one in 2007 and it never happened again. Yeah. And it's like the biggest anomaly in Denver sports history right now.
I feel like that run was fun. I feel like it was cool to see the Rockies be good at baseball. Like,
it was the vest. Bring back the vest. I like the vest a lot. So
such a good look.
Yeah.
So I guess either way, like, Denver would be the closest sports city to you, right? Or is Phoenix closer to Albuquerque?
Yeah, so here it's weird. So we're 8 hours away from Denver, 8 hours away from Phoenix, and 8 hours away from Dallas. So there's a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans out here, which really hurts my feelings a lot because they are the worst fans in the NFL. Every year is their year, and it hasn't been their year since 1995. So here we are. Phoenix, I hate the Phoenix Suns a lot. I just think they're very overhyped. So I got to deal with them a little bit. It's mostly Lakers fans out here, which is very random. Okay. It's like the Lakers, Cowboys, Yankees fans that exist, where it's like the ultimate bandwagon.
Yeah, just
I don't even know what hockey team you would pick, but maybe the Vegas Knights at this point, I guess.
Yeah. I like watching basketball. I've picked up watching like NBA basketball more the last couple of years. I used to watch a lot of college basketball just because as someone who I played like really light versions of competitive high school ball, so like college basketball is a lot closer to what people play in high school.
Yeah.
But the NBA is just like so much fun to watch. Like you throw on like a random like Wednesday night TNT game,
Yeah.
and it's just like watching like the Celtics play regular season basketball. As much as I hate Boston Celtics fans, like their team was really fun to watch.
Yeah, for
Watching
sure.
Jokic play, trying to think of other teams that are just like they were just like super fun to watch.
Like the Warriors are always fun, I
Oh yeah,
think,
the
with
Warriors are
like,
super fun to watch.
because Steph is good, man. Holy crap.
Yeah,
He's the best shooter of all time. So
I,
I respect that team a lot.
watching Klay Thompson like get set for a shot is like one of the most satisfying things in all of sports. I think
Yeah.
his shooting mechanics are just so clean. It's just it's so good to watch.
Yeah.
Um,
That team is, probably the best shooting team I've ever
yeah,
seen. So,
when they were clicking, there was if you're just like a basketball fan and just want to watch people playing basketball at the highest level, like that was the team to watch for sure.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I'm all New York sports. I'm Knicks, Mets. Unfortunately,
Oh,
I don't
no.
really have a football team. I'll if the Giants or Jets ever get good, I'll root for them just because New York. And then I used to be a big Devils fan growing up because of like Marty Brodeur, and they had those insane
Oh,
runs
hell
in
yeah,
like
man.
early 2000s and stuff. But I've sort of fallen off on hockey. And like
Yeah, me too. Like the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup last year, and I tried jumping on the bandwagon again. And I'm
yeah,
like, this is not satisfying that they won because I'm not locked
yeah,
in like I used to.
yeah,
Like I barely know this guy's name, and he's the MVP of this whole thing.
yeah.
So yeah,
I totally forgot that they won last year. It's how little I pay attention to hockey.
yeah. People are asking me questions and stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
I am on the bandwagon for this year.
Are they gonna well, I guess the season's over, but if they're good again next year, you'll be back on.
I think now that the Nuggets won, I think my sports bucket list is complete. Like I can die a happy man now that I saw that team win a
You've
championship.
seen 4 of your teams win a championship.
Yeah, we're all good. Like if
So
the Rockies win,
win?
the Rockies have never won. If they do win, I don't think it'll be satisfying. I think I'll be more shocked out of my mind
Yeah.
that this actually happened.
But they made the run, so like that's good enough. Like
That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
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 Hang the
Broncos,
banner 2007.
Nuggets.
That's it.
Damn. That's crazy. I have not seen any of my favorite sports teams win a championship.
Oh, man.
And I don't know if I ever will.
Yeah, I was blessed early with that in Denver because I was like 6 or 7 when Elway and Terrell Davis, they won back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So I was like, does this happen every year? Like I get
Yeah.
the day off of school and I can go to a parade? Like what is this?
Yeah.
So
like
I
as
was
you're coming into sports fandom, like your
Yeah.
first experience is like, oh, my favorite team wins the Super Bowl. Sweet.
I was like, let's do this every year. And then it didn't happen for
Yeah.
like 15 years. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is what being a
Yeah.
sports fan really is.
Yeah. That's great. I do I really like the mix between the two. I like how you guys will do like new movie reviews, and then you'll have like sports related episodes where you guys are talking about like fantasy football and stuff. I saw that you guys did an episode on that new cute quarterback show, or is it QBs or quarterback that it's
Oh
called?
yeah.
on
Quarterback.
Netflix.
Yeah, we did that. So
Is it
we
any
hadn't
good?
done, it's pretty good. You do Patrick Mahomes in there, Kirk Cousins and Marcus Mariota. I liked it. I think that they focused on, too many guys. I would like to maybe see it cut down to maybe 2 quarterbacks in the second season, just because I think like a lot of things get lost in the shuffle and it's very hard to balance 3 different storylines in every episode. So
Were
maybe
they like
2
an hour
would be
long?
good. They were an hour long. And then Marcus Mariota, if you don't know, like got injured, left the Falcons last year. It was kind of a shitty thing to do. Like, he didn't really come off as a great teammate when that happened. But when that happens in the show, spoiler alert, I guess, for real life scenarios, but he just kind of falls off the show. And I don't know. I could have done without the whole storyline.
Interesting. Because you guys do the sports movie show kind of hybrid, I feel like I have to ask, what is your favorite sports movie? And it probably would have made more sense for this episode if we had done a sports movie, but it didn't really line up that way. So I'll just ask the question, what's your favorite?
Definitely The Sandlot. Like, I've watched it the most. I watch it every single summer. So that is my jam right there.
I watched it like 2 weeks ago. It's so good. I was thinking, like, I texted my girlfriend while we were both working, and I was like, we should watch The Sandlot tonight. Like, I just need something easy and familiar and nostalgic and good summertime vibes, and that movie just hits every time. It's so good. Got it. I quote that movie all the time too.
Yeah,
you're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, all the time. I'll say that to my dog sometimes. So, yeah.
Some more what? I haven't had anything yet. Yeah. It's who the hell is Baby Ruth? So many good lines.
Yeah.
All right, but back to box office QBs, back to the show. It's been around for a while. You guys have done a lot of cool things. You have this the sponsorship going right now, which is huge news for you guys for the show. Really just super exciting stuff. Besides that, is there a favorite thing that you guys have done with the show? A favorite moment that you've had while making the show? Yeah, anything like that.
We did an interview with one of the guys. He was like the production designer on Jurassic World Dominion. And he also did some stuff for The Force Awakens. So interviewing that guy his name is Kevin Jenkins. That was a really cool moment for us, because he just kind of shot the shit with us for 20 minutes after the episode ended and kind of told us like some behind the scenes things on how stuff worked. So that was, I think, one of the highlights that we've done for sure.
That's really cool. How'd you guys get in contact with him?
I just messaged. I found him on Twitter, and then I like Instagram stalked him and found his email address, and then I emailed him, just a shot in the dark. I've done that a few times. It hasn't worked out as much as I would like, but this time it did work out. So,
I mean, yeah, right. The worst thing that happens is they either say no or they don't respond, but you never know unless you take that shot. That's really cool. Do you want to tell us about some of the other guys who are on the show, who help with this show, who have sort of made box office QBs become what it is today? I know, they weren't able to join us, but I do want to give them some love as well. If you have anything to say about your fellow QBs.
Yeah, like Gerald Tracy, he's one of my best friends. We started this podcast. He was in my wedding. Me and him just go back and forth on nerd shit all day. Like, he'll watch an MCU movie, and then we'll talk about it on the phone for like 30 or 40 minutes after we see it. Ahmed just came in, and I met him through Gerald, but he's becoming one of my best friends as well. And then my friend Eric, me and him have been friends for a long time too. He worked at that news station with me, and it's really satisfying because me and him were both sports guys, but they wouldn't let us do a lot of things together, but now we can do a show together. So it's pretty cool that we have this kind of going for us.
That's sweet. That's really cool that you get to do it with your friends. That's like what everyone wants to do, is just make cool stuff with their friends and, share it with the world. And, you hope that people out there respond to it. And obviously people respond to Box Office QBs. It's a great show. It's a ton of fun. I'm not just like saying this for the sake of promo, but it is one of my favorite shows that I listen to. Like, I listen to you guys consistently. It's why I wanted to have you on this show. I really enjoy and appreciate what you guys do over there. And I think that people should should check you guys out for sure. It's a ton of fun.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, before we get into Predator, which is a great movie, and the reason why we're here, we have a shared love of the Levitard show, and I feel like I don't get a chance to talk about it a lot with people in my life. I just I'm a huge fan. I listen to them religiously, and then I'll tell people in my life about things that they do in the show. I am constantly sharing episodes with people, saying you got to listen to this if you're interested in in X development in sports or whatever. And I never get the opportunity to chat about my love for it. So I've come to understand through some of our interactions on Twitter that you are also a big fan of the show. How'd you get into them? How long have you been listening? What's your relationship with that show overall?
So I started listening to them probably right before they left ESPN, maybe 5 months before that. But I heard Billy Gill talking about The Masked Singer when he used to do the recaps and stuff. Yeah. So I would listen to that on my way to lunch at work or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I started listening to it more. And then randomly, because I used to listen to a lot of Ringer stuff, like Bill Simmons mm-hmm. and everything like that.
Yeah.
I quote tweeted this article about Jokic from this mm-hmm. NBA writer for the Ringer. And then that guy just kind of went off on me on Twitter randomly, and it pissed me off. So I was fuck the Ringer. Fuck you, Bill Simmons. I am only listening to the Lebitard show now, and I love it. It's hilarious. I quote it all the time. Look at Me, Louie is kind of catching on at work now, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Because So, and my wife knows a lot about it as well. I said something about Chris Cody the other day, and she's like, "Oh, what happened with him?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool listening experience. I feel I don't know if you feel this way, but it's definitely an inspiration or an inspiring factor in terms of how I want to create and expand this show and sort of what I want to do with it. I think it's just a really great example of people creating cool stuff with their friends and other people responding to it. I feel just watching and listening to that show has taught me a lot about podcasting and where areas that I could improve and stuff. I don't know if you feel the same way, but it is also just hilarious to listen to.
Yeah, I definitely have modeled a lot of stuff we do on our show after that show for sure, because I think they do a good job of mixing sports and pop culture. And mm-hmm. I just look up to everybody that put that whole thing together, leaving ESPN and starting their own company. It's very inspiring to listen to.
I mean, their deal with DraftKings is sort of like your guys' deal with Rival Fantasy.
I wish we got $50 million, but
you're moving in the right direction,
Yeah, it's the smallest of scales compared to it, but it's definitely my favorite podcast, favorite radio show of all time.
So you studied journalism in school, I'm assuming?
I did.
That was always
I thought I wanted to be on SportsCenter, and
Dude,
I thought I wanted to be
stream, right?
Yeah. I think the future is kind of podcasting now and YouTube shows and everything like that.
Yeah. Have you guys ever messed around and thought about doing live episodes on Twitch or something?
Yeah, we've definitely thought about it. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. It is kind of terrifying to do things live because as you know, sometimes recording episodes, things go wrong and somebody's mic drops out or somebody's screen freezes. And then you get the post-production from Zencaster and everything's jumbled up. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on right now? So maybe we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I I like the opportunity to mess around with things in post production and do some editing. Maybe I'll even cut that part out. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's sweet, man. It seems like there's a lot of cool opportunities for you guys with the show. I'm excited to see where things go, where this partnership, takes you guys. I'll be watching along. It should be really cool.
Yeah, and anytime you want to come on, man, just let us know.
Oh, I would love to. I'd love to give my top 5, baseball movies of all time.
Hell yeah.
Been working on that list for years. Let's talk about Predator.
Let's do it.
So our movie of this week is, of course, as I just mentioned, Predator. 1986, I want to say, or is it 88? 87. 1987 action sci-fi comedy classic. Obviously a movie that needs to be in the canon. Definitely an essential watch for anyone who wants to be a movie fan. I think I want to start the conversation. I just want to get an understanding of like your background with the movie, first time you remember watching it, what you thought about it the first time around versus where you are on it now.
So the first time I watched it, and I didn't watch the whole movie, I just watched the ending fight between Dutch and the Predator, was probably in like 4th or 5th grade, and I caught the end of that movie on like AMC in the middle of the afternoon on like a Saturday. Yeah. So that was the first time I saw it. The first full Predator movie I saw was AVP, which is not really a great introduction. And then I watched Predators with Topher Grace, and then I watched the original Predator. So this is now...
There's a Topher Grace Predator movie?
There is, with Adrian Brody and Topher Grace. It's actually not that bad, but I watched all those before I fully watched Predator, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So this is actually the second time I've watched this movie in full.
Nice. What did you think anything differently of it this time around versus the first time you saw it, or how does it stack up to the other Predator movies that you've seen?
I liked it a lot more this time. Like, I think I kind of focused in more on like the cast of mercenaries this time, because the first time I watched it, I was more focused on the action. But like this time, I could like see the individuality of the characters outside of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers' characters.
Yeah, there are definitely some great characters in this movie. I think Bill Duke as Mac is maybe my favorite part of the movie. Bill Duke just has a great movie face. He's one of those dudes that he's what me and my friends would call an oh fuck yeah dude, which is in the ranking of actors, you have Tom Cruise, and then you have movie stars, and then you have A-listers, and then you have great character actors, and then you have oh fuck yeah dudes who are just guys. Whenever they show up, you point at the screen, you go, oh fuck yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
And he's definitely one of those guys. Whenever he pops up, you're like, oh nice, yeah, this guy's here, things are gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing him the first time on Get Rich or Die Trying, like the 50 Cent biopic that was trying to be 8 Mile, and I was like, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah,
I've seen him before.
Yeah, you like don't really know his name, but whenever he pops up, you're very happy to see him. So this wasn't a movie that you like grew up with necessarily. This was something that you sort of came into a bit later in life.
I would say, yeah, because I grew up more watching like Terminator and Terminator 2. So this is like a movie I picked up, definitely when I was like an adult. So
sweet. What do you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger's performance, we'll say, in this movie, and like where it stacks up in his list of all-time roles?
It's got to be probably second or third. The Terminator is obviously going to be number one. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is the greatest action star of all time. Like, I don't think, I mean, we have Tom Cruise now, I guess, but there's just something about Arnold that's just so like badass, like in every movie he's done. And I love Jingle All the Way too. which is so random. It's my favorite Christmas movie. So,
Dude, I love Jingle All the Way. May or may
yeah,
not be in my list of recommendations for later.
hell yeah. So I would say second or third,
Yeah.
as far as this ranking would go.
I feel like that's a great point. He probably is the definitive action star of maybe ever. Like, the 80s were definitely peak action movie time, right?
Oh yeah.
And this might not be the peak of 80s action movies, although it's pretty close to the top. And yeah, Schwarzenegger's like he's got to be the guy, right? More so than Stallone.
Stallone is pretty good though too, and I think Stallone has made better action movies later in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Like he came back with Rambo 4, which was like crazy to see, and then I never saw the new Rambo, but like the Expendables came back. He brought Arnold into
Mm-hmm.
that. He was still doing Rocky movies up to a certain point in time.
Yeah.
I think he is. It's like 1 and 2. Those two guys for sure.
Yeah. While on the topic of Stallone, while I was like prepping for this episode, I came across an interesting piece of trivia that apparently may or may not be true, but apparently this movie sort of came to be, and I don't know if you've heard the story, but apparently there was a joke after Rocky 4 came out, after Rocky defeats Ivan Drago, that he had defeated all earthly beings that he could in a boxing match. So the only next logical place for him to go or person for him to fight would be an alien. And apparently that was a joke that was going around Hollywood, and the brothers whose name I'm forgetting at the moment, but the brothers who wrote this movie, they like came across that joke and they were like, oh yeah, let's just write a movie about that. And like, to me, Predator kind of just feels like Rambo fighting the alien from Alien, but in a different form.
Yeah.
And it seems like that was the inspiration for this movie. And then you get this. So yeah, I don't know if you had heard that before.
No. Well, I mean, they even have Apollo Creed in this movie too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, this is maybe like a fuck you to Stallone.
Yeah. Stallone would have been, I wonder if what do you think this movie would have been like if it were Stallone instead of Schwarzenegger?
I think it would have still been successful. Like I do like Stallone as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't think it would have like lost a beat whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think it still would have been pretty solid.
That would have been an interesting bit. You bring up Apollo Creed, the great Carl Weathers. We can't talk about this movie and not mention the amazing handshake.
Oh my God.
Has been memed over and over and over again.
And I didn't realize it was from this movie until like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy that it came from here. But I love that one. I use that all the time.
Yeah. It's such a good meme. It's such a good moment in the movie because it's so early on, and the movie kind of just like drops you into the action. It's just like, hey, here we are. You see all these guys getting off a helicopter, and then just like boom, Dutch and Dylan meet up. They do the handshake, and it's like the most ridiculous thing of all time.
Yeah, and they're like flexing and arm wrestling at the same time. So I was like, this is the manliest movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's talk about that for a little bit, because this movie is like insanely manly. What did you make of just like the dude energy that's coming from this movie?
It is like it's like the GNC store of movies. Like there's so much testosterone in this movie. And like I read some behind the scenes stuff where Jesse Ventura and Arnold would be like comparing biceps or something in production of this movie, and Arnold told the costume department to measure his bicep and change it to where it was smaller than Jesse's, and then they did a competition and his was bigger, and then he had to buy him like a bottle of champagne or something. So like crazy testosterone in this.
Just on screen and off screen.
Yeah.
It's also one of the sweatiest movies I've ever seen.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Dudes in the jungle with sweaty sweaty biceps, shooting giant guns at God knows what. It's incredible.
Yeah, like this would be the perfect movie to be an ad for like Axe body spray or something if that was around back then.
Such a good shout. Yeah,
Yeah.
it totally would be. Is it the manliest movie ever made? Like, can you think of a movie that just has more dude in it?
There's got to be one. There's got to be a Stallone movie in there somewhere. Like one of those Rambo movies, maybe Rambo 3 when he's like overseas in the Middle East and he just has like two guns going at every single moment. That might be up there. But this is my number one, I would say.
The other thing about this movie is, like in Rambo, it's just Stallone being a macho dude. In this one, it's everyone.
Oh yeah,
you know, you've got Schwarzenegger, you've got Carl Weathers, you've got Jesse Ventura. The whole crew is just dudes, just dude energy. I also thought it was interesting, like looking at the cast. You have Schwarzenegger, who came from the world of bodybuilding, so like not a traditional actor. You have Carl Weathers, former football player, also not a traditional actor. And then you've got Jesse Ventura, who's coming from the world of I guess it was WWF at the time.
Yeah.
And so another guy who, but like they're all coming from these different worlds of like hyper masculinity, and they don't really need to be good actors here. They just need to hold guns and say great one-liners at each other and at people that they're shooting their guns at, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, if they remade this movie today, it would be John Cena, The Rock, and Dave Bautista in those roles.
Yeah.
So
that
would be fucking cool though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I would kind of dig that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's not a bad casting shout. At Screen Age Wasteland, there's another podcast that we have called Total Recast, where they talk about like a classic movie. They do a review of it, and then they'll do a recast with current actors. And I think that would just be, that recast that you did would be absolutely perfect for that.
Yeah. Maybe even put like, I don't know, Michelle Rodriguez could even be in there as the girl that they come across. So
yeah, I'm trying to think of a former football player who could be tossed into the mix, like a football player turned actor. I guess
John
The Rock
David Washington
is one.
John David Washington, I think, would be sick in that movie.
Yeah, I forgot that he played like low Division I football.
Yeah, and I think he was like with the St. Louis Rams at a certain point in time, but he's a good actor. I did not understand Tenet, but I still think he's a great actor. So
yeah, Tenet's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
In a previous episode, I had on someone who my friend who writes for the Miami Herald, and one of the assistant coaches at like Miami U, or is it U Miami? One of the coaches at the U was an assistant coach on whatever college team John David Washington was on.
Oh shit.
And apparently, to mess with him one day, while like in training camp, they just started yelling out quotes from Remember the Titans.
Oh my God.
Which is just a hilarious joke. But back to Predator. What did you think of the whole like shootout scene at the guerrilla base camp?
It was like a Rambo movie in the middle of Predator, I think is what it was. It was cool. I'm not going to lie. Like Arnold picks up a truck and like wheels explosives into a tent. It's very over the top, but I mean, I dug it for sure.
Yeah. I like in that scene when he throws a comically giant knife at someone to the wall and he says, "Stick around."
Oh yeah, man. 80s, man. Such a great time for one-liners.
Yeah. And this movie, so many great one-liners. Should we just run through some of them? Do you have any
Well,
particular
get to the
favorites?
chopper, which is my Arnold. That is the one.
Yeah.
And I'm blanking on all the other ones because that one was just the
That's
catchphrase that
the
everybody
line.
remembers. Yeah.
I like at the end when he's yelling at the predator to kill him. He's like, "Do it. Do it now. Kill me.
Yeah.
Kill me. Do it now." Um, I think that's my favorite one. I also love when uh, Jesse Ventura's character gets shot, and I don't know if it's Shane Black's character or someone else. They turn to him and they go, "Hey, you got hit, like you're bleeding," and Jesse just goes, "I ain't got time to bleed."
Oh my god. Oh, and that if it bleeds, we can kill it. Forgot about
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
that's another great line. Yeah, I ain't got time to bleed might be the manliest thing ever said in a movie.
Yeah, this is like they created this movie with like if you gave AI a script for the manliest movie ever made, all the
Yeah,
one-liners from this movie would be recycled into it.
yeah. If you told AI, "Hey, make a super manly war sci-fi thriller," it would just shoot out Predator. It would just give you the
Yeah.
exact same movie. It wouldn't even give you something new.
Or they'll add more predators to make it more manly, and then they'd put
Yeah,
Stallone in there too.
yeah. You throw in Stallone and Dolph and Van Damme and maybe Bruce Willis too. Just throw in everyone.
I think Van Damme was originally cast as the Predator too, and he
Yeah,
did a
he
few
was.
weeks of shooting.
Yeah, and I guess it was a mix between the suit was too hot for him, and they realized in shots of him and Schwarzenegger, like him and Carl Weathers, it just didn't work because they're both like 6'3" and Van Damme is like 5'9".
Yeah,
Yeah,
even lifts couldn't fix that situation.
could you imagine that last fight scene if it's Schwarzenegger fighting a monster that is like half a foot shorter than him?
That would be pretty hilarious, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like he could probably
Yeah,
do some like roundhouse kicks to the head at that point. So
yeah. I guess it would also it would be interesting because it would maybe be scarier that they were all getting picked off one by one and totally outmatched by something that is not physically imposing. But
yeah,
there is something great about that wide shot of Schwarzenegger and the monster, and you can just see how much bigger the monster is than he is.
yeah, it's pretty cool, man. And then like the practical suit that they use, it just
Yeah.
makes it look so much better because that's what the modern day Predator movies are kind of missing. I think maybe
Hmm.
Prey they did have a guy in a suit, but
Hmm.
everything else before that was very heavily CGI'd.
Yeah. What do you think of the monster or alien design, the Predator design?
It's still one of like the coolest monster designs of all time, I would say. He just
Yeah.
looks so fucking cool. Like he has the like the mandibles or whatever on his face. He looks
Yeah.
like a mutant bug. Like he could easily be in like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and be a villain in that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's really cool.
Super cool. What did you think of the special effects with the invisible cloaking device and all of that stuff?
I don't think it aged great. Like and it was nominated for best special effects at the Oscars, I guess.
Hmm.
At that point in time it was probably mind-blowing, but
Yeah.
like even like the special effects in T2 aren't exactly aging great either with like the
Hmm.
T1000, but for its time I think it was good. Now when you watch it, it is a little bit cringy, especially when the
Yeah.
predator's in the tree. It looks like he's doing like yoga up in there
Yeah.
at certain points. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The design of the monster itself is absolutely awesome. The special effects are hit or miss. For me, they mostly still work. It doesn't it never takes you out of the movie, I don't think.
no,
Even now, knowing uh what people are able to do with special effects. it still doesn't look so bad that it takes you out. But yeah, like you said, the design of the actual monster itself is one of the most iconic like villain designs ever
Yeah.
of any movie. So good. What did you think about the lack of Predator? Like I guess like the sort of classic Jaws approach to the monster of not showing a whole lot of it throughout the
I
movie.
love I love that. And I love when movies do it in general. Like it works well for this movie. Jurassic Park is another example where you don't see the dinosaurs
Mhm.
until maybe an hour in,
Mhm.
and just hiding it heightens the fear in the movie and makes things more tense. So
Mhm.
that's the problem with like Predator 2, which I still kind of like, but you see the
Mhm.
predators right away in that movie.
I don't think I've ever seen Predator 2. That's one with Danny Glover, right?
Yeah, it's very 90s.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like the predator is taking down drug lords, and they try to make it as different than this movie than they could. So it's very cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember 80s and 90s sequels where you like wouldn't have the same cast as the original or the same director and it's just like loosely connected? Like
It's like
think of
Batman and Batman Forever. Yeah.
yeah, or like Speed and Speed 2, like Keanu Reeves just isn't in it.
Oh, me and my wife were randomly talking about that the other day. Uh, I was like, yeah, Speed 2 Cruise Control, and Keanu Reeves wasn't even in it. She's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, had no idea.
Like why make another Predator movie if it's not going to be Arnold versus the Predator again? That's all that we want to see.
Yeah,
Danny Glover's great, but no one wants to see Danny Glover versus Alien or versus
no.
Predator.
Like Danny Glover could be a good second lead of that movie, and then you put Arnold back in. I think that would have been a
Yeah,
cool movie.
if you just do Danny Glover replaces Carl Weathers as Arnie's black friend.
Yeah, it could be Lethal Weapon, but
Yeah,
versus Predator. Lethal Weapon versus Predator would be an awesome movie.
that that should be Lethal Weapon 5. Uh,
Yeah,
that would be great. So I guess because you watched it for the first time as an adult, you must have known. It's impossible to not know what this movie is about, right? So, like, what did you think of the first time you were watching it? And you have all this stuff with like this like military sort of mission that they're on, and it's not really Predator related. Like, were you like the first time you watched it in full, were you like, when does the Predator come into this? Like, what is all this random military stuff that's going on in the beginning? Like, what did you make of all that?
I definitely was surprised that we don't see the Predator for as long as we do, like when he does first show up. Um, I don't think I hated it, or like it was just a very interesting choice. Maybe I would have brought him in a little bit earlier, or like
Mm-hmm.
have some more hints of him. But I did like that they hit him, like I said earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and but maybe 10 minutes before that, let's show him a little
Yeah,
bit more.
I do. I feel like besides that, there's really no fat on the movie. There's like we were saying before, it really just drops you in, and then at the end, they have the showdown, they have the face off. Arnie beats the Predator, and then that's the end of the movie. There's no like debrief. There's no opening sequence showing the Predator hunting down, someone in the jungle before we meet Arnie and Carl Weathers and all the other characters. I really did like that about the movie. It's like a really lean, like hour 45, which is just
Yeah,
it's great.
it moves very fast. Like I watched
Yeah.
it last night, like pretty late, and it was like such an easy watch to get through. So
Yeah. It's again, the 80s were just a different time. You could go to the movies and you could watch something like this not knowing any of the lore around the Predator, like where it comes from, like what planet it's from, why it even comes to Earth, why it's hunting down people and animals. It's just, hey, here's this thing, it kills people, people try to kill it back. That's the movie.
yeah, it's simple, to the point, It is like a near perfect movie for sure.
Yeah. Have you seen Prey? I feel like you guys did a review of Prey, right?
Yeah, we did see Prey. That's probably the second best Predator movie ever made. And I know the
Yeah.
bar isn't necessarily high, but like it definitely has elements of this movie.
Hmm.
Just they really pay like homage to this movie more so than all the other sequels that came out. But yeah, if they continue to make movies like that, I'm going to be locked into this franchise again.
Yeah. I wish Prey came out in theaters. That would have been such a cool movie to watch with
Oh, for
a group of
sure.
people cheering on all the awesome kills. Did you think that did you notice a different context, or did you watch the movie in a different way having on this rewatch, having seen Prey? Like, did that recontextualize anything in this movie for you?
Yeah, I think so because like you see the elements that Prey kind of took from this movie, which is the ending
Hmm.
fight. Like
Hmm.
she covers herself in mud, I think, on
Hmm.
that movie, and then the same way Dutch does in this. In like the kills are kind of similar, where people from the tribe are getting picked off one by one, and then you got the
Yeah.
military guys here. So this movie and that movie are the two closest to like stylistically in the franchise for sure.
Yeah. I wish having rewatching this one after seeing Prey, I wish that there was a little bit more of the Predator killing people in hand to hand combat.
Yeah.
That scene in Prey where the Predators, I think it's the French settlers, and it's just
Oh
like
yeah.
going through them with that little like mini axe thing. I'm forgetting what the name of that actual weapon is called.
Yeah, he was
And
fucking him up at that point.
yeah, just absolutely wrecking everyone. If we had one scene in this movie of Predator doing that in just close contact, hand to hand sort of combat, absolutely yeeting people, that would have made this movie a little bit better. I still do think it's, uh, uh, it's a pretty incredible movie. That would be like my one sort of room for improvement that this movie could have had. But
Yeah.
otherwise, absolutely fantastic. Arnie is great. The Predator design is great. The story is simple, effective, efficient. The action is super entertaining. Do you think there's any like subtext to this movie, or any like critical analysis, like deep dive that people could do, or is it really just a movie about an alien picking off,
I
a
think it's just a
military hit
movie
squad?
about yeah, I think it's just a movie about an alien picking off these military dudes. Like I know like sometimes people are like, what's the deeper meaning of this? It's like this movie's
Mhm.
just fucking awesome. Like you get
Yeah.
to see this alien hunt these dudes and testosterone is flying, the bullets are flying, the alien's blood looks like it came from a glow stick. It is
Yeah.
fucking awesome. That would be my like Rotten Tomatoes review of this movie.
And sometimes that's all you need. And in this show, we're talking about the most essential movies ever made. So a lot of times we are having conversations about the deeper meanings and subtext and all of those things. But also at the same time, movies can be essential, like Predator. Like you said, it could just be a movie that is fucking awesome. And
Yeah,
you sit down and you watch it and it's perfect entertainment, and it doesn't need to be anything more than that. But yeah, so what would you say is like the lasting legacy of this movie in terms of why it is essential? Do you see inspiration in movies going forward from Predator? Like, where do you think it sits in sort of like Hollywood movie history and all that?
definitely. I've seen elements of this movie in different franchises. I think like The Lost World Jurassic Park is a good example where
Hmm.
that movie is the majority mercenaries in the jungle. And there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of Predator elements in that movie from Steven Spielberg. Just anything like that, like showdowns between action stars and aliens or monsters or anything like that. This movie has influenced moving forward. I think Aliens did come out before this movie, but I think
I
those
think
two
so.
kind of influenced each other. But both of those play like a huge role in Hollywood,
Yeah.
definitely today. And it's never as good as it was back in the 80s.
Yeah. The 80s. What a special time. This movie could only come out in the 80s. This movie could
Yeah.
not be made, not even in the 90s. You know, it had to come out when it did in order for it to be as wonderful as it is. Any other final thoughts, notes about Predator as a whole, your thoughts on it, how you feel about it?
Just make action movies like this again. That's all we want. We don't need everything interconnected. We don't need a Mattel universe with like, Barbie's going to show up to talk about the Mattel initiative or some shit like that. We just want some badass solo action movies again. That's what we want.
We also don't need them to be 2.5 hours with, like I was saying before, we don't need a sequence on the front end where you're explaining where the alien comes from and why it's sent to Earth. We don't need a debrief on the back end of like what we're going to do next, or like Predator will return and there's, a shot at the end of like another Predator spaceship that's like, I'm going to avenge my brother who was killed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, just, just give us an hour 45 of cool lines and great action sequences and gnarly kills. That's all we're asking for. We're simple men with simple desires.
And put John Cena in it. That's all I ask.
Yeah,
let's get The Rock, all those guys.
And Batista, let's get that Predator remake going.
Yeah.
That would be sweet. Jeff, thanks again for joining, man. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks for chatting about box office QBs, for chatting about Predator, for chatting about Levitard's show. Before we get out of here, let's do recommendations. It's my favorite part of the episode. We recommend to our listeners 3 things that they can check out if they enjoy the movie topic of the week. So if you've seen Predator, if you like Predator and you want more things like Predator, here's a chance for you to be given the opportunity to check out some other things. So the way we'll do it, Jeff, you'll start, you'll give your first one, then I'll give my first one, you'll give your second, and for each one, just give sort of a brief reasoning behind why you're picking it, why you think people who enjoy Predator would like it. Again, the rules for new listeners, we're each giving 3 recommendations. At least one recommendation has to be a movie. The other 2 can also be movies, but they can be anything else: books, music, TV shows, comic books, restaurants. Someone did a cookbook once,
Nice.
So we really like to get a little weird with it. If one of the recommendations is on or is in the canon, that will count as a negative mark. If you try to give more than 1 or more than 3 recommendations, you will be penalized and you won't be allowed back on the show you'll be suspended for a couple of months. Yeah, we've had some people tried to get a little sneaky and they do like a 2 for 1, or they'll recommend 4 or 5. So we really need to stick to the rules. But with all that being said, give us your first recommendation.
Well, this is the most manly movie of all time, so maybe get just a straight glass of Jack Daniels. That is my first recommendation. No chaser. So that'll be number 1.
Just not even like a whiskey glass, like a full pint glass of Jack Daniels.
Full pint of Jack. And that's how you got to watch this movie.
Yeah, that's the only way to watch it. All right, that's a great first pick. I'm going to go with my first pick, a movie that we mentioned before, your favorite Christmas movie, one of my other favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. I haven't seen it in years, but it slaps so hard. Jingle All the Way.
Hell yeah.
Great flick. I don't know if it was on your list, but if it was, I apologize.
It's always at the top of my mind. Let's just say that. Yeah. Just a great movie of 2 guys doing some pretty criminal things to get a toy. So love it. Recommend it for sure.
The American Dream.
Yes. I guess my second pick would be Prey which we talked about. It is the second best movie in the franchise. You can skip all the other sequels and go straight into this movie, and you won't miss a beat.
Yeah, you can even skip the original Predator.
Yeah.
I watched Prey with my girlfriend, and I don't think she had seen Predator, and she totally loved Prey. It's a great movie. It's sort of like what we were talking about. Just give us a lean, slick action movie with amazing kills and awesome action. And there aren't as many cool one-liners, but otherwise it really delivers on, the kinds of things that we're asking for in our movies. Okay. So with my second pick, I'm going to go 3 movies this time around. Prey was on my list, but I had a feeling that you would maybe also have it on yours. So I had a few backups. While I was rewatching this, it's, dudes in the jungle with guns. And I was trying to think about my other favorite movies about dudes in the jungle with guns. And the one that popped into my mind was Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yes.
Not really much of a connection between these two movies besides Jungle Military Men, but that's enough of a connection for me to want to recommend it. So that's going to be my second pick.
I think for my third pick, and if I'm going to stay with the manly theme here, I'm going to do Protein Powder. And that'll be it. If you want to do that handshake in real life, Protein Powder is the way to go. And I don't even work out. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. That is my fitness advice for you.
Don't even mix it in the workout. Just if you want to get
mix it with Jack Daniels. There you go.
Put protein powder in your Jack Daniels. You can even skip the working out. You don't even have to do, all the bicep curls.
You'll just get jacked like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man after you drink that.
That is a manly mix. That is just straight dude energy. All right, I'm going to stick with our manly theme. And this is Predator's maybe top 3 sweatiest movies of all time. And I think all of the sweatiest movies probably came out in the 80s. But the number 1 sweatiest movie of all time. And it really is a shame that this movie isn't in the canon because it is absolutely incredible. It's one of my favorite movies starring one of my favorite, if not my favorite movie star, which is maybe not the best thing to admit, but I'm going to go with the movie that made Tom Cruise, Top Gun.
Oh,
the
yes.
Pinnacle of 80s sweaty guys.
There's forgot nothing about
sweatier, that. Nothing tops Top Gun in that regard. Predator comes close.
That is the manliest movie.
Yeah.
You do a manly double feature if you really wanted to with those movies.
Oh yeah. You sit down, you got your pint of Jack Daniels, you got your scoop of protein powder, and you watch Predator and Top Gun back to back, and you will actually run through a wall.
But you have to play volleyball in the intermission between the two movies, like a full game of volleyball, beach volleyball.
You got to pop your shirt off and play some beach volleyball with the boys. Oh man, that's great. I think we put together a good list of recommendations. Let's run through them one more time. Just 1, 2, 3. You'll go, and then I'll go 1, 2, 3 with mine.
So Jack Daniels, Prey, and Protein Powder are my 3.
I've got the other great Arnold. Well, one of the other great Arnold Schwarzenegger flicks, Jingle All the Way. I've got the great Ben Affleck, the great Ben Stiller movie, Tropic Thunder, and the movie that made Tom Cruise, Top Gun. Jeff, thanks again for joining. This has really been a blast. It's been a long time coming, so I'm happy that we've been able to make it happen. Again, listener, be sure to check out Box Office QBs. You can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever podcast listening platform you use. You can also find them on YouTube. Check them out on Twitter. Are you guys on TikTok or Instagram as well?
We're on TikTok and Instagram, but Twitter is kind of our thing. So find us there. And first,
can you just shout out the handle so everyone has it?
It's at Box Office QBs on all social media platforms.
Sweet. Yeah, check them out. It's a great show. Really awesome reviews of current movies, of old movies, of you can get your sports fix there. It's really just good stuff. So yeah, man. Thanks again for joining. And where can people find you personally online if they're interested?
Probably on Twitter. It's Notorious JMFG. I don't know why I picked that handle, but I did. So that is where you can find me if you want to follow me, I guess.
Sweet. Yeah, man. Thanks again. This has been great. Screenagers, thank you for listening to another episode of the Canon. We will be back next week with another essential movie. And until then, I feel like every movie podcast signs off this way, and I try to avoid it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Until next time, we will see you at the cinemas.